So, in the most recent update, we finally got one of the most requested characters. And I gotta say, Z went above and beyond what the community was expecting. After a bit of waiting, JJS finally dropped a bombshell update, and it shows. Now, it's pretty clear that one of the main focuses in the game's development right now is the new early access character, Curse Partners, aka Yuta Okkotsu. While this version already comes with a full base moveset and some special abilities on release, it definitely feels like he's still the dev team's main focus at the moment. So in this video, we're gonna dive deeper into Yuta, what's currently available, and what possible moves or mechanics might get added in future updates. If that sounds interesting, then stick around. We've got a lot to talk about. You know what? Let's pick a winner real quick, just to fuel this video a bit before we jump into the exciting part. And hey, if you're new around here and you want to join the giveaway, it's super simple. Watch the whole video, drop a like, hit that subscribe, and comment your favorite part of the video along with your username. That's it, you're in. Good luck. Alright, so what's next for Yuta Okkotsu, or maybe even JJS in general? Will the game stay as hype as it was before? Well, I'd say yes, and here's why. There's still so much left to come. I mean, have we seen Toji yet? Nanami? The rest of the mainline JJK characters? A simple answer is nope. So yeah, there's clearly a lot more to look forward to, and I'm saving that conversation for another video. But for now, let's focus on what's next for Yuta. Before we jump into any move visuals or theories, just a quick reminder, nothing I say here is 100% confirmed, but based on what we've seen and what makes sense, some of this stuff is very likely to end up in the game, or at least something close. Let's start with the core of Yuta's abilities. This dude is complicated. He has a cursed technique called copy, and yeah, that alone is confusing as hell, but I trust the devs. Knowing Z and his wild creativity, we'll probably get the best version of Yuta Roblox has ever seen. Now imagine this, Yuta being able to copy moves from other characters. That would be insane, but also incredibly complicated from a game design perspective. But don't worry, we'll try to break that down in a bit. But here's something possibly more promising. Rika. This cursed Shikami is a goldmine for move ideas. Honestly, she might give the devs even more inspiration than Yuta's copy technique itself. So when you think about it, there are two core sides to this character. Yuta's techniques, like copy, and Rika's power and presence in the game. The devs have to decide how to balance both sides, and on top of that, build a solid mechanic that ties it all together into one cohesive moveset. Now, we all know Yuta is a super versatile character, right? And the way his moves are adapted into the game will really depend on how the devs use their creativity. What I mean is, in the manga, there's not really a full, neatly packaged moveset like you'd expect in a game, if that makes sense. But what we do have are signature moves, and I mentioned some of them earlier in this video. So for now, let's just focus on those critical signature abilities. The ones where, when you see them, you instantly go, yeah, that's Yuta. Well, of course, the first one that has to be on the list is copy. I mean, come on, it's not Yuta without it, right? The devs can get creative with all kinds of cool mechanics, but this is one move that they absolutely can't skip. It's essential to his identity as a character. Now, how will it work in game? Well, that's the tricky part, but, you know, there are a few different ways to do it, and some other games have already tried their own versions of this technique. Maybe Yuta could copy a random move from his opponent during a match, or maybe it's more like a kill-based mechanic, where after defeating someone, he steals one of their moves. There's a lot of possibilities, but in the end, we'll leave it up to Z and the dev team to figure out the perfect approach. The main thing is, this move has to be included in Yuta's kit. No copy, no Yuta. Simple as that.
Okay.
So, now you realize we're basically talking about potential awakening moves at this point, right? I mean, it's kind of a given. The base kit is already complete. Sure, we might get some variants or tweaks, but what we really need now are the 3 core moves to complete Yuta's ultimate. And if we're talking about must-haves, then yeah, Jacob's Ladder has to be on that list. This move is a big deal. It's one of those signature moments that really defines Yuta's power, especially in the later part of the manga. Now, it hasn't been animated yet, but in the final arc, we actually see Yuta acquire and use this technique, and ever since then, it's been a staple in almost every JJK game that features him. That's why most games don't skip it when building out Yuta's moveset. It's just that iconic. So yeah, Jacob's Ladder would be a perfect awakening move, not just for the visuals, but for what it represents in terms of Yuta's growth and power. Then there's one more thing that should absolutely never be missed, and that's Black Flash. Now, I'm not exactly sure what the devs have planned for this one. It could go a few different ways. Maybe they'll make it a variant attached to one of Yuta's base moves, or maybe it'll be a part of his awakening kit with a dedicated move that ends in a Black Flash finisher. Who knows? They might even make Black Flash a standalone move entirely, with its own timing mechanic or trigger system. But regardless of how they decide to do it, this move needs to be in his kit. It's just too iconic to skip. In my opinion, it's a must. Now, this next move is another iconic moment. When you think of Yuta Okkotsu, this one almost immediately comes to mind. But honestly, I see this more as Rika's doing than just Yuta's alone. The exact name of the move? It's never been officially stated in the anime or manga, so fans just call it things like Amplified Cursed Energy Beam, Rika Beam, or something similar. You've probably seen this in a bunch of JJK games too. It's that massive purple cursed energy blast that Yuta fires, usually in sync with Rika. And of course, it's the move that destroyed Geto in JJK movie, one of the cleanest finishers we've seen. Alright, this next thing isn't a huge deal, but it's still something that could possibly make its way into Yuta's moveset. Maybe it ends up as a variant, or maybe it gets tied into his copy technique somehow. Who knows? I won't dive too deep into it right now, but I just wanted to make sure I mentioned it, since it's one of those techniques we all saw in the anime, and could easily be adapted into the game later on. Now, what am I missing here? What about this? Do you think this is something that could actually be added to the game? I know we're kind of drifting off from the mainline stuff here, but think about it. It's still Yuta, and that's exactly why I've been saying this dude is way more complicated than you think. So yeah, it might make it in, or it might not. But either way, I still want to acknowledge it, just to show some respect for how insanely versatile this guy's technique is. Alright, did I miss something? Oh, well, you already know what it is. Authentic mutual love. Yuta's domain expansion. And honestly, I'm pretty confident this one has the highest chance of getting added to the game out of everything I've mentioned so far. Why? Well, bruh, it's a domain expansion. It can't be skipped if you know what I mean. But I'm also sure that if it gets added, it's gonna come with some unique mechanics. Now, if you don't know much about this domain, let me drop some knowledge real quick. Inside Yuta's domain, the ground is littered with multiple katanas, and each one is imbued with a different cursed technique that Yuta has previously copied. He can access those techniques during the domain, and even imbue the domain's hit effect with any of the copied abilities. Yeah, it's that crazy. So if this makes it into the game, it could function like some of the systems you've seen in other games I've shown. Or, knowing Z, he might cook up something even more advanced. Either way, Authentic Mutual Love feels like an almost guaranteed addition, and I can't wait to see how they pull it off. Now, I know what most of y'all are thinking. What about Rika? Is this all there is? Is this the full form already? Well, I'm not the person who can give you a solid answer on that, but based on what I've seen, I'd say the version of Rika we have right now in the game is likely her partial manifestation. Again, I'm not 100% certain, but if I had to guess, we might eventually see Rika's full form in a future update. Maybe it'll be tied to some kind of second awakening mechanic, or possibly a cursed energy bar you need to fill up to trigger her full transformation. I don't know for sure, but I'm hopeful. Only time will tell.